why? But all of the rest do 2-week sprints, so they have to do 2-week sprints too. That's very strange. I've been asking a lot of people in classes, at events, in my coaching. So you do a 2-week sprint. What does Scrum say about sprint life? Oh, I don't know. Most people have no idea. They say, well, it's 4 weeks or less. How much less is up to you. So make a sort of decision which is tuned to your context. No, but the company says, no, all teams have to be on 2-week sprints so that everybody's working in the same cadence. Regardless, technology, domain, business, customers, problems, learning, technology, complexity, whatever. That's so strange. That's industrial thinking applied on Agile. It's sort of killing agility a little bit. So another big thing that I see happening is people copy-pasting models. They copy-paste what other companies do, first of all. What other companies do is often like a model. At some point in time, thank you ING in the Netherlands, they made the world think that everybody has to go for Spotify. Does that ring a bell, Spotify? Yeah? Well, it's great. Spotify, once upon a time, started as a Scrum company. They took their lessons, they learned, they improved, they changed, whatever. And at one point in time, it was documented, and now everybody thinks that it's that sort of one documented form of manifestation of Spotify they have to go for. Now, a lot of companies that I know in the Netherlands are sort of going through that deflation by reality thing. We come, damn, Spotify didn't bring us what we were hoping for. And I was hoping that they would go for develop their own model, their own ways of working, which are tuned to their context, for their customers, their organization, their people, their history and so on. But it's not happening yet. So Spotify didn't work. Oh, now let's look at less. Does anybody know less? Large-scale Scrum? So quite some companies that I know that are disappointed with Spotify, they just look at another model, probably hoping for the next deflation by reality, and hope they get enough deflations by reality so that at some point in time their eyes will open up and see that they have to build their own model. It's the only way to really, really go forward. Be inspired by something, but sort of the model copy-pasting. All teams have to become agile at the same point in time, apply the same practices, follow the same rules, the same cadences and so on, which is not helpful. Sort of industrialized form of agile or Scrum. It's not helpful, it just creates an illusion of agility. So what I find is missing in those agile transformations, whatever is in the world, is just the hard work. Falling, getting back up, trying, experimenting, all this thing called Agile and Scrum is about iterative incremental progress. So if you want to become Agile, do it in an Agile way as from the beginning. Learn, fall back, get back up, do sprints, do time box work. Don't think about what your company should look like in 3-4 years' time, because that's sort of the problem with models. Oh yeah, the model says that in 3 years' time we have to have an organization that looks like that. You can't. You have no idea. You can. My goal is to give people a compass that will show them the direction so they can start walking, but I have no idea where they will end up and how that will look like. It's not what most management people like to hear, by the way. Yeah, but you're the expert. Yeah, no, I'm just beginning. I'm sort of a novice in all of these things. That's cool. So that's sort of the hard work is missing, and then that's sort of combined with old school, let's say, organizational impediments. That, yeah, we're now agile, we've got all these agile teams in place, but they still have these beautiful deadlines that they need to face. Whatever happens by then, that should be ready, that should be delivered and so on. Rather than a collaboration or startup culture, a lot of those organizations are still sort of in a meeting culture. There's all these meetings. Oh yeah, we now have to do Scrum. That's even more meetings. It's like, oh, that's strange. If you're not implementing Scrum, if you're not organizing the events of Scrum, in order to eliminate a lot of existing meetings, that's not going to help. So replace a lot of meetings that you have in place instead of adding the meetings to Scrum. By the way, if you have to look at the events of Scrum as meetings, that's already sort of a little bit of a problem, because we like to call them opportunities or events, whatever, but at least they're opportunities to inspect and adapt. Everything in Scrum is about adaptation, not just meeting for the purpose of meeting. So deadlines, this problem of team instability, I like to believe that people get to know each other, they gel, that's one of the performance things that we can have by just keeping people together. Most organizations, I know they've got all these agile teams, but they've got, I don't know, resource allocation mechanism or meetings and so on, or certainly team managers and team leads and departments that think that they know better who should be in what team at what point in time. So every time, with those 15 teams I've tried to help a little bit, every time you saw a team like really growing, I don't think I've got one team that sort of kept stable, so it always went down again because some bloody whatever thought he knew or she knew better that, yeah, but the Scrum Master should now be part of that team, or yeah, the product owner or some development people should now be part of the other team. So every time you had a sort of fluent or well-oiled team, somebody found it necessary to sort of tear it apart again. It's like team instability. It's huge problem. So there's more to becoming agile than just forming teams and making sure that they all work in 2-week sprints. And the worst thing I've seen with agile transformation, it's just a new excuse to lay off people. Oh yeah, by reforming all those headless individuals running around into teams, oh yeah, that will give us an opportunity to sort of eliminate all those people that we... Oh damn, I thought Agile and Scrum was about building a new organization, having a new vision for some sort of new type of organization, move towards that positive thing. And if people feel like not being part of that, fine, it's up to people. But sort of mixing, yeah, the real goal. The goal is to build a new organization that is fit for the new world, for change, for real-time information, knowledge, and so on. If people decide to leave and not be part of that, that is fine, accept it. But don't make that the goal of your transformation. So that sort of always breaks my heart if I hear companies saying, oh yeah, we're going for Agile and that will allow us to lay off 30% of our workforce. That's, it breaks my heart. So that's sort of old school impediments. And I don't know, you probably all know some sort of complexity models. Two most well-known are the Stacy graph and sort of Cynefin, which is written Cynefin, by the way, but I always have to explain Cynefin. You know that like they call usually simple or obvious and then complicated and so on. I like things to alliterate a little bit, so I call the most simple domain, I call that clear, has a C. So you've got clear, complicated, complex, chaos. Now this, the illusion of agility, the wrong recipes applied to becoming agile, and then with those old school impediments that nobody is willing to tackle, that's sort of a perfect recipe to go to in a very unknown territory, and it's called catastrophe. It's not helpful at all. But again, it's only defining, so we'll figure out what we can do about it. And it's one of the basic problems is that we've got these organizations in place, and an agile transformation just focuses on combining individuals into what we now call teams. They still have no focus, no goals. They're not working on sort of end-to-end building, bringing value to customers via products and services. It's still called what we used to call component teams. Oh yeah, they're building one cloud service, they build another cloud service, they're building some sort of component, but nobody's looking at the overall part of it. Yeah? And nobody's minding sort of the change throughout the organization. That's why I say more agile teams does not make a more agile organization. It does. Agile basically means adaptive. So I like simplicity rather than giving very, very big, complicated definitions. For me, agile just means adaptive. Long time ago, 2001, everybody knows Agile Manifesto. It just brought a new view on software development. It's called adaptive software development. Rather than fixed, long phases, long cycles, gateways, very, very governance-driven, very bureaucratic also. Adaptive, being able to adapt all the time. So it needs feedback loops and so on. So an adaptive and agile organization is an organization that has sort of structures that can be adapted. Those are fixed structures. Those are rigid structures. That rigid is sort of the antithesis of agile, of what it means to be adaptive. So just combining individuals into teams and then still having them separated and still in functional regions of the company is probably just not helpful. But nobody dares to address the other thing. So with all of the companies I've been working for, it's like they all go through an agile transformation, but just doesn't feel right. It's very difficult to try to put words on that. And these are three sort of indicators that I found very useful to help me and organizations think, is this actually an agile transformation? Because it is not a transformation if it does not change how you actually work on a day-to-day basis. A lot of transformation projects are sort of separate projects. They're not connected to the actual work, how the work is being done. It's just sort of change projects, you know that? Run by separate people, and it's not a transformation if it doesn't change how you work. It is not an agile transformation if it doesn't simplify how you work. And that's very difficult with a lot of agile transformation. You've got all those procedures, governance, whatever, bureaucracies in place. How about questioning them, doubting them, and go back to why did we organize it like that? So go back to the why, and then rethink how you're actually implementing upon your goals in an agile way. That's very difficult, but it should be simpler. That's you know, a long time ago, what we called in agile the simplest thing that might possibly work. I still like that a lot. So start with the simplest thing that might possibly work. If it doesn't, add something, not too much, try that again. But that's very difficult to go to that simple thing again. And it's not an agile transformation with Scrum if it doesn't invite people to actually collaborate. So what I've seen with quite some companies, they've got all these individuals reformed into teams, headless individuals. They now have sort of headless little micro teams throughout the organization. So you've increased the collaboration often within a team, between like micro teams, 4, 5, 6 people. But those teams still do not find each other. They do not find their superiors, the leadership, the whatever. So what is sort of the increase in agility? It's not too big. So it's not Scrum if those people don't actually collaborate. If they just see Scrum as, oh yeah, this is just a new process that we need to follow. There's more to Scrum than that. A while ago, I think it's even in my book, Scrum is more about behavior than it is about process. Scrum has this sort of minimal, lightweight set of instructions that people would have to follow. But beyond that, there's so much options, so much openness, so much possibilities. And that's when behavior comes in. It's what people do, how people interact, how people talk to each other, how people find each other, and then resolve things. So, as you know, what I said, inspection without adaptation, pointless. So, illusion of agility, unfortunate, it's a reality. Certainly the deflation by reality is reality, but how to deal with that? And that's, I think, more important. And I'm already, let's give away a little secret already. So since leaving Scrum to Talk over 3 years ago, I've been focusing on working with companies, let's say based on sort of 3 prerequisites. If a company wants to work with me, I would love to, but I've got sort of 3 ground rules for that. First of all, there has to be some sort of personal relationship. Meaning I don't do public offers, RFPs, do you know that? Requests for proposals and so on. I just don't do that. End of discussion. I hate those things. They're about finding the cheapest, let's say the most desperate supplier anyhow, always. Nobody says it is. Yeah, no, it's about more, but it's always about price and cost and so on. So I only work when there's a sort of personal relationship. It has to be about Scrum. It's the only thing I know a little bit. All of the other things in life, I even know, I'm even worse at those things, so if there's anything Scrum, I don't know anything else that might be good, I don't know. So it has to be about Scrum, which is sort of a problem because most companies nowadays want for, I don't know, save less. Lazy still has something of Scrum, it's very close to Scrum actually, but think like Spotify, DevOps, do you know DevOps? One thing, oh yeah, it has to be DevOps. Okay, what do you mean with DevOps? And let's implement Scrum for that. You can do crazy things. And the first thing is, I want to know for an organization, is it serious? Are you really serious about this? And the seriousness of things are often expressed, will they allow me in with the executive or the management team? So the first thing I ask, yeah, but the first thing I want to do, even possibly not billable, I want to have a session and talk to the management team. I want to feel that, I don't care whether they understand Agile or Scrum, I want to at least know that they feel the urgency. There must be some sense of urgency, there must be some real problems that they need to solve. And sort of companies that are not part of that anymore are companies like, yeah, sort of that pretend agility, that they sort of pretend Agile, you know, because you feel in the end, we've got so many cash Nobody can hurt us. We'll survive anyhow. We're just doing this for sort of the sake of it. Yeah, I want to feel a real urgency. And now the recipes that I'm going to present to you in the last couple of minutes that I have, in those past 3-4 years, I only found one company that's really going for it. So I'm the most unsuccessful Scrum Agile transformation whatever coach around the world, because I'm unable to get my ideas across to people and organizations. So sorry for that, and sorry to disappoint you to come listen to me. I'm still going to try and stick to my ideas. So, and even going back to the Agile Manifesto, it starts and ends with people. It's all about people. And even in this one statement of the Agile Manifesto, there's so much in it. Team stability is already in there. Bring work to people, don't spread people across your work. That's essentially what this is saying. This is also saying that get out of the way. Create an environment in which people can actually work. It's goal of management and leadership. So there is a pretty powerful statement. Nobody knows about it, but still I like to go back to that. The fact that it starts and ends with people. And for me, important with whatever an agile transformation is, it should start with people. Because you know what? We're all people, we're all human beings, we've got the same blood running through our veins, we're all naturally agile. We will adapt as needed. Except we do it in our personal lives, when you go on a holiday, when we need to travel over here to Gurugram, whatever. We do it in our personal lives every day in, day out, but it seems that our natural ability to adapt as being blocked and impeded within our professional organization. Because suddenly it has to be about governance and phases and so on. But we are all naturally agile. So any agile transformation should start with the implicit or explicit capability of every single individual that we're all able to adapt. We do that all the time. And then you should have whatever you would call a process that follows that natural agility of people. And I truly believe that Scrum implemented well is exactly that. Scrum builds on the natural agility, the ability of people to adapt. And then you need to go for structures that follow that sort of process. So that's somewhere in my book that I still truly believe that. Nobody of the world believes me. I still believe that. At some point in time, people will find a way to reinvent, re-emerge their organizations around Scrum. That's the goal. With Scrum, we've never said how organizations should look like, but it's impossible to really implement Scrum well, thrive on behavior, new sort of ways of people to interact and collaborate without impacting the current structures. We've been very naive in that because people like to most organizations prefer to change Scrum and keep the organization intact rather than the other way around, which we were hoping would happen. That Scrum would show you so many dysfunctions and that you will have the courage to sort of tackle them. It's sort of not happening. But these are, for me, very important things. Don't apply a model, because like I say, sort of all models are wrong, even the ones that are right. Some models are more wrong than other ones, or even more wrong. So just start with people, start with your context, your situation. Maybe you can look at Spotify, but if you know about the history, the backgrounds, the evolutions of Spotify, and how they went to that, and you haven't lived that yourself, you can never really capture that. And I think it's better to spend 3-4 years trying to ingrain those lessons, go through those lessons yourself, than losing 3 to 4 years, ending up with a deflation by reality, just trying to copy what other people are doing. And just to summarize it, it's just start small again. This is what I call reimagine your Scrum. So a lot of companies, I know they've been doing Scrum, micro teams, there's no synergies across teams, there's no identification of products and services and so on. They've gone for this massive approach, cascaded approach, mass production approach. And I'm like, yeah, you've got this organization. And you know, agile transformations, you used to say, you know, top down, bottom up. Wrong language. It's not helpful. It's not top down. It's not bottom up. It's not a combination of both. It goes in all directions. You go left, right, right, left, inside out, outside in. I don't know. There's no direction to an agile transformation. Just things that you make happen. My advice to companies is, and I've got this one company following this now, because they were so scared of a big agile transformation, so fear used that in my advantage in this case. They were so scared that they followed my advice and they picked one product, an end-to-end product. They've been doing Scrum on that and they're reimagining their Scrum. Cool. So we thought what a product owner should be. What is it that you actually own? Is it actually an owner or just a representative? And they reinstalled all the roles around that. They looked at authorizations, tools, infrastructure, and so on, so that that team could start building releasable increments of that product. And then we need a huge organization, one product. We've got people together. That's why there's no direction. You sort of create a new, what I call a product hub around the product, a sort of ecosystem around the product. An ecosystem that can actually create what we call sashimi releases. They're going through a number of lessons in a sort of limited number of sprints. And after a while, they will go for a next product. And maybe after a while, again for a next product. But there's some sort of, can I call that slowness to that process that most companies don't like. They want to go faster. And they want to go so fast, and they want to go so fast 3 years in a row, that it doesn't deliver anything in the end, anyhow. So I think it's better to go 3 years and take it a little bit slower and do things really properly. And I hope that's also the role of Scrum people around the world, Scrum coaches, Agile coaches, to help people see that. And this is just iterative incremental growth. But just one product, do Scrum really well on that one product only. And then the next product, and then the next product. And then hopefully in the end, and there's some things that you will need to fix along the way. In the end, people are not just working at sort of the individuals level, making teams of them, but really reinventing their organizations. By picking one area of that huge pyramid structure, turning it into a product hub, and the next product hub, and so on. And then gradually, step by step, reforming the organization into what I call an agile organization, because this is an adaptive organization. It's a network structure of product hubs or service hubs. You can start up a new hub. You can eliminate an existing hub. A hub may grow, a hub may shrink, people may move between hubs and so on. That's got agility, adaptiveness built in, re-emerged into the structures, where that's a rigid structure. That's sort of the idea, inspection adaptation. The inspection, the finding is the illusion of agility. The agility that most companies hoped they would achieve is not being achieved. Takes quite some courage to also acknowledge that, because we're very good at wiping that under the carpet, the actual results. And then how to deal with that. And this is sort of what I believe, but I only know Scrum, obviously. So do Scrum properly in one part of the organization. It will help you overcome all those isolated departments, and then do that again and again and again. And if people along the road try to decide they need to leave, let them leave. Try to keep them if you believe in them, but if they want to leave, they want to leave. But that's not the goal. The goal is to create a new organization. And I'm going to stop because I've been asked to stop already 10 minutes now, I believe. Okay, sort of the message I wanted to bring. I hope you have a beautiful day today. Work with each other, ask questions. Interaction is the most thing. That's what makes an event and not just some sort of bloody conference. That you talk to each other, that you ask questions, that you learn from each other, that you go home this evening, hopefully energized again with some new ideas that you want to try out on the work floor. And not just having to listen to boring people like myself. Yeah? Okay. I'll try to do one more boring thing to close the day by the end of today. But most people will have gone home by then, but you never know. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for listening to me.
Thanks, Gunther. So we have two things to do. We have some memento for the speakers, as well as we have some books to give away. So there are so many people who are looking for books, but we have a very limited number. So only the lucky ones who are going to get it. So the first lucky one is someone who was the first person to register for this event. And that person was, and he's not from Delhi NCR. He's from Pune, and the person name is Bhuvan Mishra. And this is for you, and you have to keep that memento. Yeah, yeah, you have to do the honors. Thank you. So we will move to the next section. Yep.
Just 1 second if I can speak.
Sorry?
I said something for last one also.
Maybe you never know.
Thanks a lot for the book. I know it's hard to find a book in India. I already have a personal copy. So I would like to give this away to somebody who really needs it. Um, okay. What I'll do is